This podcast is co-created and co-produced by the Food Allergy Institute and the 12 Company. Listeners should know that the podcast host, Lesley-Anne Stone, is not a physician nor a licensed medical professional, and the purpose of this podcast is strictly limited to storytelling. Any content shared within the podcast is not intended to be medical advice and should not be used for diagnosis or treatment purposes. All listeners are urged to consult their healthcare providers. The creators, hosts, and guests of this podcast are not liable for any decisions or actions taken by any persons who claim to rely upon the content of this podcast. Hi, I'm Lesley-Anne Stone, and this is Resilience and Hope, a food allergy podcast. We have a very special guest today. Her name is Hillary Schwartz. Hillary is a Tolerance Induction Program Food Allergy Institute mom based in Bethesda, Maryland. And she went through the program with her son, Gavin, when he was in high school and college. They commuted from the East Coast to Long Beach, California, and Gavin goes to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and commuted from Michigan to Long Beach for the program. Their story is so interesting and inspiring to me, and I am so happy to have Hillary on the show. So please welcome my friend, Hillary Schwartz. Thank you so much for joining us today, Hillary. I'm so excited for our conversation. First, I just want to recap how we met. We met about 2 or 3 years ago, on a webinar with the Food Allergy Institute talking about remission. And what I found so intriguing, there were many things that were interesting to me about you and your story, but what was so intriguing to me was that your journey through the Tolerance Induction Program at the Food Allergy Institute was so different from my journey with Sam, because you had a son who was in high school and then he went on to college, and you speaking about your process with your son, being across the country, commuting from Bethesda to Long Beach, and just in speaking about your son's life and all of his achievements. He's so high achieving. He's varsity athlete, AP courses, and you were doing this program and you were making it happen. And I have heard from so many viewers and listeners of the show wanting to hear specifically about high school kids and how you do this through high school and college. So in planning season 2, I thought, oh my gosh, Hillary Schwartz is so inspiring to me, and she's going to help so many parents out there with their stories. So if you can, for our listeners and viewers, if you can just share your story with how you discovered your son Gavin's food allergies and how you found the Tolerance Induction Program.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. We are very grateful to be a part of the program, and it has been the best gift that I could ever give my son. So wanted to start with that. A little bit of my background. I'm originally from Los Angeles, which is funny because the program was there and I had no idea, but I didn't have kids yet. We lived in New York City for 18 years, which is where Gavin and his brothers were born, and we're now in Maryland. So I have 3 boys, and Gavin is my son with the food allergies. He is now 22. He is at the University of Michigan, and he is a business and engineering major. We started TIP in June of 2020 and graduated in 2023. So that's a little bit of a background. He was in 11th grade when he started, and it was during the worldwide pandemic, which was absolutely wild to be traveling at that time. He was a high achieving student. He had, I think, about 4 AP classes that he was taking. He was an athlete in high school. He was on a varsity soccer team. He was on a varsity lacrosse team. And at the time, he was studying for the ACT. So it was incredibly stressful. Really proud of him, but he persevered. He got through it. And here we are, food freedom.
How did you discover the Food Allergy Institute while you were in Maryland?
So going back a little bit, for many years, I had been researching programs and various trials and medication. And in one of my interviews with a parent who was part of a very different program, she said to me, if I could turn back time, I would have done this. And at the time, it was called the Southern California Food Allergy Institute. So I wrote it down, I wrote the website. And then as soon as I logged in and saw that it was doctors, and not a holistic program or, pills that hadn't been FDA approved, my husband and I discussed it with Gavin, and we felt more comfortable doing something like this. So we did a lot of research, and we were on the wait list. So there was a big, long 9-month wait list at the time. It was 2019. And because of the pandemic, we got a call. There were families that decided not to fly and come in. So we were able to jump in front of the line, and we went in June of 2020 during the pandemic, just leaped into our fear of food allergies and COVID and said, if we're not doing this now, when are we doing this? So we just went.
And you said that you presented this idea of going to Gavin and he wanted to do it. Why did he want to do this? Why was he ready to tackle this in this fashion?
I think he was tired of reacting to everything. He became more reactive as he got older, and we were very confused. He would often go to restaurants, your local Potbelly, and he would react to something that absolutely was not touched by tree nuts or peanuts. So it wasn't making sense. And we couldn't figure it out. It was impossible. So I think he was also tired of, years of teasing and I can't use the strong word of being bullied, but he was definitely teased by some friends. And when he was little, dangling, nuts in front of him.
Oh, so sad. So tell us about how you discovered Gavin's food allergies, because your introduction to nuts is very different from how protocol is today. So if you don't mind, please share us how you discovered.
So at age 3, back in 2006, we were told, and everyone was told, mothers of my time, that you should only test your child at age 3 for peanuts. So I thought, well, let's just test him at his physical. And so we went in for his 3-year-old checkup. I brought in Reese's peanut butter cups, and there was no reaction. We skipped out of there, and we were very happy. Never thought about it. There were no, at the time, I mean, this is going to make me feel old, but we didn't even have iPhones. So there really wasn't much about tree nut awareness then. It was really very highly focused on the peanut, right? So we just continued with life. We went to a Halloween party. He was 3.5 years old, and running around, assumed sugar overload equals stomach ache. As we were leaving the party, he was vomiting. He was walking and just started vomiting out of nowhere. And we really didn't think much of it other than running in circles, eating candy. That's what happens after 8 hours of doing that. And on the way home, we had a stroller, and he fell asleep in the stroller. I mean, now that I know so much about it, I think back on that time, how dangerous that could have been. We just got lucky. Then several months later, we had a friend come in from Los Angeles, brought us a box of See's candy as a nice gift, and everyone's digging in. And Gavin had reacted right away. His lips swelled up, his tongue was swollen, and he started vomiting right there at the table. Couldn't control it. And so that was when we knew something was wrong. There had to be some type of allergy, but we were confused because we weren't very aware of the tree nuts possibly being the allergy. We did give him Benadryl. We went to see allergists. Back in those days, I had never heard of component testing. They were just the old IgE standard testing and prick testing, which basically, the doctor said, as I'm sure a lot of moms in the program have heard, avoid all nuts, good luck, and have a nice day, and bye. So that's where we were for many, many years until Food Allergy Institute. I learned much more about anaphylaxis, and we discovered that he was only sensitive to peanuts. After 17 years of avoiding peanuts for absolutely no reason.
Hillary, and that's why at the pediatrician office when he was 3, he didn't have a reaction to the peanut butter cups.
Right. That's right. And he was only actually sensitive to some tree nuts. He was anaphylactic to other tree nuts. So it helped us. It gave me this wonderful guide spreadsheet to know exactly, finally, after all these years with all these blood numbers going up and down and making no sense and leaving there deflated, I finally had answers.
Amazing. Amazing. What tree nuts was he anaphylactic to?
Highest was hazelnut. And he also had a high allergy to cashew pistachio.
So this makes sense while diving into a box of See's candies was so dangerous because those are all nuts frequently in a box of chocolates.
That's right. And pine nuts he was allergic to. Never knew that, never realized that. Sensitive to sesame. Sensitive, actually not allergic to almonds, which I understand.
Wow.
Yeah, common that almond is not something people are typically allergic to, but it was eye-opening. The one thing that was surprising to me was the chickpeas. I had never thought about it, and I didn't realize he was sensitive to it, but that made so much sense with hummus, because hummus would bother him, but he never, I don't think there was a test for hummus or chickpea or garbanzo beans, but that was also, eye-opening. Never thought about that. Never knew about it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you start the Tolerance Induction Program, you start coming out during COVID, and you have this very, very, very high achieving student
Yes.
in the program with all kinds of demands. Talk to me about dosing. How did you dose him? Because you are very type A. I appreciate this about you. I like this. So tell us how you did it, because it's very, very smart.
So I would say our tip food journey or travel journey was, yes, I tracked everything and I was super diligent. I felt it was my responsibility to support him through this and partner with him. We had, 22 flights from 11th grade to his sophomore year of college. These were not vacations. This was a 48-hour medical mission in, out of California. I had used, this just was super helpful. I brought props. So I used a toddler tray, but a little bit more, chic in stainless steel.
I love
that way
it. It is chic.
Visually, I could see what he was eating, right? The sauces, the nuts here, the muffin here. It just was helpful for me and also for him to visually see the plate every day and all of the medicines as well, everything on the tray. He definitely got tired of the food. It's hard eating the same thing every day, but I had him eat it in front of me. I would, serve it to him before school, and I would make sure he finished it. And it's kind of like having a little kid or a baby. You want to make sure they finish their meal and they're eating properly. He was also doing slit, which was hard. I would say that was the most annoying to him because of the, wake up, rinse your mouth, 2 minutes. That was harder, especially on a school morning, right? You have to wait 10 minutes before you eat.
Gavin was on SLIT, SLIT, which stands for sublingual immunotherapy, which is a concoction of different environmental allergies that is custom tailored, prescribed to the patient. You spray it under the tongue every morning and it builds up a tolerance to environmental allergies. So he was on Slit every morning and it sounds like he did not like it.
He was very annoyed by Slit. For him to wake up, rinse his mouth, do the Slit, wait the 2 minutes, wait 10 minutes to eat, that just frustrated him. He did it, but I would say, looking back, that was probably the most annoying thing to him to deal with and travel with. That was challenging, to travel with that, because you have to, keep it room temperature or in the fridge, and it can spill, and it was a lot to deal with. But we got through it, and he was on it for 5+ years. His was so Gavin technically had pollen allergies, but Slit was given to him because of the food, because of the proteins that he was allergic to that were shared in the environment. So that is why Gavin was on Slit. So, the journey continues with, I will say, like, it was a great bonding time for us. I really enjoyed the trips to California with him, all the meals together, all the laughing. You don't get that kind of time with your kids. So it was a precious time. It was a hard time, but we had fun together. And college, yes, hard in the program. When he went off freshman year, I felt pretty confident. He was compliant. He wanted to be done with the program, but I definitely have partnered with him on continuing to make what I call idiot-proof Ziplocs of nuts. I have another prop. I brought it with me.
Wow.
This is like a December bag. And so all he has to do is go in here. So I'll see him for winter break, and he takes out his weekly, and I'll date the bags. So I prep all the nuts for months and months in advance, and I FedEx them to him. So I will be with him for winter break. So that's his vacation bag. But it's hard, it was hard it's scary, and it's hard to know what he's doing. It was hard to let go when he went off freshman year. So I wanted to make it as easy as I could, but I had to check on him, right? I had my checkpoints like a drunk driver. I would be like, stop, open your drawer, show me your nuts. And he'd be like, Mom, you can't say that. I'm like, I know, but you got to open the drawer. I need to see where you're at, and I would just sort of check in. That was the only way I could check in, right? And at some point towards the end of the program, he started flying. He flew by himself from Ann Arbor to LAX, to the hotel, Ubered, went to his appointment, and turned around and came back in 24 hours so he could be at the next event or party at school. He didn't want to miss a beat.
That's amazing. Hillary, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
For him that he's able to do that, and for you as the mom to cut that cord. That's unbelievable.
It wasn't easy. But I had to do it. He's an adult. I say that lightly because, he's 22. So to me, he's a 2-year-old adult. He's only been practicing for 2 years. So, but I felt like he could do this. I mean, this was the 20th time or the 19th time, we had been, he flies all over the place by himself. So he can fly for his health too. And it was only really the last few sessions that he went alone. But he's a driven kid.
And was he nervous to do appointments here by himself, or was he motivated because he's such an independent, driven kid? Was this a challenge that he wanted, or was he nervous to do it without you?
He wasn't nervous to do it without me. He just wanted it done as fast as possible, right? In, out. So he just wanted to get back to Michigan as soon as possible. And he knew he had to do it. So we would try to revolve trips around it too, if we could for him, or if he had a meeting or an interview, so that he was going out to California for a reason other than just, at this point, blood testing.
So he's now in remission and you are sending him his maintenance foods. What is your plan when he graduates from Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still sending him his maintenance foods?
So I definitely will remain a full helicopter mom, propellers out, until his wife takes over. So I am happy to partner with him because I want to help him. He's so busy. He's a college student, he's a dual major. He's, he takes care of himself physically. He's a fitness fanatic. He's a DJ. He has a college music festival company and he's studying. I mean, I just feel like, it's my job as his mom to provide his food and medicine. And to me, the nuts are medicine. And I want to help him. I care to help him. And I'm happy to help him.
It's really touching.
It's equal parts love and fear, right? Fear that he won't do it himself. But it's fine. I don't mind the free labor.
He is lucky to have you. He is very lucky to have you. So, Hillary, you have 2 other sons. I bow down to you. You have 3 boys, and they're all doing great. Everyone is high achieving, and you have a terrific family. How did you balance that and juggle that when there was so much attention on Gavin in the program, plus you have 2 other younger sons?
It was hard. I'm a big communicator. So I definitely had moments of sitting the other 2 down individually to say, right now, Gavin needs a lot from mom and dad. I need you to be supportive. This is not easy, what he's doing and what he's going through. And there were moments that it was hard for both of them. But I had to take care of Gavin at the time, and I knew that the others were okay. And they cared so much about him that I think that they were okay with it too. They're very close, all 3 of them. They love him so much. So it was great. And they were very considerate, of the time that we needed. If we had to be late to something or, whatever it was, they would bend over backwards for him.
It's very sweet. It's very sweet to hear. So, other food allergy moms out there who have kids in high school, when college is on the horizon, or their kid is in college, and they think, I can't do this all. My kid is on varsity, or my kid has all these AP classes, or my kid is far away. What do you say to those people if they're considering the Tolerance Induction Program?
I would say, first, know your child's capacity. Customize a schedule for them that works, that makes sense, if you can. The time, the money, I get it. It's not easy, but it is doable. I would also say it's really important to have your kid buy in. I think I probably had Gavin sign a family commitment contract when we did it because of the time that it was going to take me and him to get through this, and the cost and the exhaustion and the stress, and him being a student at the time. So they have got to buy in.
So you wrote up a contract
Yes,
for Gavin saying these are the terms and conditions, just so you understand this is a commitment. Do you buy in? And you held him to it.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes, we sat at Woodmont, a restaurant. I remember my mom was even there. We sat at the table with my husband and my son and my mother, and he signed it.
Was she your witness? Did you have her sign as a witness?
Yes, yes, yes. I used to do this with like punishments. So it would, so I could always say, you promised, you signed this, you committed to this. So I was just sort of using the same
You're
format.
amazing.
You're very sweet.
But you're amazing to me.
Thank you. I think one of the most important things I would say to other moms out there is to partner with your school. You have to find a way to make this a big deal. This is a medical concern, and you need to plan and arrange for absences in advance so that they can get ahead and not fall behind, because it can be super stressful on the student if they fall behind and they're in the program and they're traveling. So whatever you can do to make waves and get the attention of the dean, teachers, whatever it takes, so that they understand he will be missing school, or he or she will be missing school. It's hard. The program is hard. There's a lot of work, but I would say to any parent, just start. You'll figure it out. Trauma can be incredibly motivating. And I think that's what kind of kept us going, was the trauma and the fear, that we knew there was hopefully a light at the end of the tunnel.
In addition to school with the administration, it's also coaches, because you were dealing with 2 varsity sports. Can you shed some light on that too?
So Gavin would come home from sports at probably 6, 7 o'clock and exhausted, had probably 5 hours of homework. He'd come home, he'd take a shower, he would dose, and then, do his homework. So, and if there were nights where games went on late, we'd figure it out. We would have to figure out. I don't recall ever having to skip or do anything. The latest we ever dosed was 8:00 p.m. And I felt comfortable doing it. So he dosed after he came home from sports. I did not want the stress of dosing before a game. No. Right. Even with the hour break. We just would.
Tell us a bit more about how the type of allergy mom, tip mom that you were in the program. I mean, you told me you were a slave to the muffins.
Yes. I was definitely a certified muffin mule.
Tell us about these muffins.
The muffins had everything in them from soup to nuts, literally. I put that muffin could break a window. But they were good. I tried them. I made muffins every Sunday night for the next, whatever it was, 8 to 10 weeks. And I put them in the freezer, and then in the morning, I would take them out and defrost them in the microwave, and they were available for his breakfast with his recommended foods and other maintenance foods. Again, I was checking in, making sure he ate everything, having him eat things in front of me, and took a lot of time, money, and it's a sacrifice. That's how I look at it, and a gift. And without my Excel spreadsheets, I don't think I would have survived. I think I am probably a certified nut counter at this point. Maybe I can add that to my LinkedIn. But yes, I think it took 1,700 hazelnuts to get him to eat hazelnuts freely. But definitely a slave to those muffins, and, a mom of love, fear, and free labor.
And now you are totally free of these food allergies. Gavin has had no problems since graduation.
Correct. And I'll never forget, he graduated and he went and studied after his freshman year of college, he went to study in South Africa. He lived in Cape Town for 2 months. And yeah, that was the first real sort of let go, right? I mean, he let go in college, but that was different. He was far. He traveled all summer, and I trusted that he was compliant. And he did not have any reactions, and he was fine. He was very happy.
Were you worried?
No, because the only thing that could have really happened was like the amount of nuts that he would eat at some restaurant was so small compared to what he was already eating. So it wouldn't make any sense for him to have a reaction if he had, let's say, a chocolate chip cookie that had walnuts in it. He was already eating 3.5 tablespoons of walnut or 5.5 walnuts. So I wasn't concerned.
Amazing. And you live a life freely upon graduation. You don't read labels anymore. You eat at whatever restaurant you want to. You went back to your pre-diagnosis life.
Correct.
What was that like for you, Hillary, after 17 years of being in this life?
Yeah. The first feeling of it was when he passed cross-contamination. And at 18 years old, we went and had ice cream in Rehoboth at the beach with a cone and a scooper without rinsing it off for the first time, probably in his life. He didn't have to have soft serve or asking, the people to run the spoon through hot water or get us some ice cream and toppings from the back. It was so great. I have a picture. We then went to Five Guys. I mean, we had fun.
Oh, that's so great.
And that was only halfway through the program. But I will tell you, from that moment on, I really believed that this was working. And that gave me the confidence and him the confidence after passing cross-contamination.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I think your story is going to really resonate with a lot of moms out there with kids in high school and college. And I really hope that those folks call and get a free consultation and get more information and take that step. Thank you so much for coming on, Hillary.
Wonderful. My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Lesley.
And thank you, the listener, for joining us today on this episode of Resilience and Hope, a Food Allergy Podcast. We would love to hear from you. Please email us. Our email address is resilienceandhopepodcast@gmail.com. And we have a social media @Resilience and Hope Podcast. Please follow us. And wherever you listen to your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating. By giving us a 5-star rating, we become more visible to people looking for food allergy related podcasts. So please give us 5 stars. And until next time, I'm Lesley-Anne Stone. Resilience and Hope Podcast is made possible thanks to the support of the Food Allergy Institute.